So if you've never been here before, welcome to Unity of Palm Harbor. I am Reverend Tracey Quillen, your senior minister. This is a place that's alive, well, awake, enthusiastic, yes! You might feel this beautiful vibration in the sanctuary. We had our prayer chaplain training this weekend, started Friday night, all day Saturday, and I hear there's a little socialization that happened afterwards. So all good. So if it feels juicy in here, it is juicy in here. Absolutely. And I say that each and every one of you present are already a prayer chaplain. And I say that because whether you've had formal training or not, you know you have access to the divine at all times to be your guide. And so if it ever calls to your heart to step up and share that possibility with the whole congregation, we do our training once a year, and just hold our prayer chaplains in that beautiful high consciousness, because when they enter this room, this sanctuary, you are immediately in their hearts. They are immediately, whether they're on duty today or not, holding this to be a holy ground, a sanctuary of truth, a sanctuary where you feel safe to be exactly who you are. And if you're ever afraid to go and see a prayer chaplain, take a breath. Everything is in confidence. Everything is through spirit. Whether you understand or hear the words being said, it is that feeling of heart-to-heart connection, and we got you. And did you know in the CMA Awards, there's this very illuminated being who has gone through a real hardship in life, including prison. He's a very large man with some crosses tattooed on his face, and he said those words, that the wind behind him is nothing in comparison to what we have within us to come forward with and to express. Now, I modified those words because I can't remember them exactly, but the whole idea is that which is before us is small compared to that which is within us. And that's what you were singing about, Terrence. That's what you were bringing to the table. Absolutely, absolutely. So we are in the almost end of our 7-week program for the fall, and we're talking about our noble cause. What would you think your noble cause might be? So if you were to imagine in that wonderful, powerful mind of yours and think, what is my legacy? What is it that I want people to remember me by? What might I call noble? Not just, and it could be, that you raised a family, you got married, you made people feel good, and then I think take it up a notch. What is your noble cause? So I went back to our founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. Their noble cause was claiming and defending the body as an inseparable unit of human existence or being with God. So imagine that. We talk about our consciousness, we talk about our mind, but oftentimes we leave out the physical temple, the body that contains that soul during this earthly visit. So what would it feel like if every morning, we talked about a little bit during the prayer chaplains as well, that if every morning you were brave and courageous and could stand before that mirror and look at every part of your body with love. How would that feel? You know, there's some of us who say, I don't know where that junk in the trunk came from. And there are some of us who go, oh, I can't even eat food, it makes me sick. We have so many sides of the equation. But if you could lovingly, every single day when you wake up, love every part of your body with pure acceptance, no exceptions, no ifs, no ands, no buts, but you just look at that beautiful temple that you have chosen in this lifetime to contain your soul. How would that feel if you looked at it differently? That you looked at it that every place that you are is holy ground. How would you treat yourself? How would you talk to yourself? And you know, how we talk to ourselves is the first reflection of how we talk to others. It's difficult when we're in a mindset that we're beating up on ourselves, or we're overtired, or we haven't nourished ourselves, and then we show up for the outer world, and I know absolutely nobody here picks on somebody when you don't feel good. That we are always so illuminated, we are always aware how power-filled we are, that we don't say the wrong thing sometimes, and that we hurt feelings sometimes. And we don't mean to, and we also know you can't hurt someone's feelings, right? It's something they're taking in, something they're working with, and at the same time, how easy is it to just be kind? Just be kind. It's one of those beautiful attributes with compassion, with empathy. It's a spinoff of that love circle, to just be kind. First to yourself, and then to others, and then to others. So the Fillmore's claim is that we cannot evolve to our full potential or our Christ nature while we perceive the body as isolated from the unity of the soul. Think about that. In the beginning, Myrtle Fillmore was ordained in the Christian Science Church, and through a disagreement with Mary Baker Eddy, she and some others pulled away. She had learned and experienced for herself her own body healing. Many of us know the story of Myrtle, that as a child, her belief system, because she was told as a very young child that you are imperfect, that there is a dis-ease that resides in your body, and it is likely to take your life at a young age. So besides the physicality of this unrest within her body, she believed that to be true. That's why we talk so much in Unity about our words have power. So from a very young age, conscious or unconscious, we get messages. And sometimes we learn to expand our own consciousness and hold that whatever we learn to be true at a very young age just simply isn't as we get older. It's kind of like in the ancient days in the small civilizations, and the church was the center of the township. And you wanted to be in the church. You wanted to make sure that you showed up every Sunday, and I don't know if they did Wednesdays, but you wanted to make sure that you were on the right and perfect path. Because when that holy priest said you were not, and you were excommunicated, it wasn't just your church family, it was the whole center of the social circle. The whole center of the social circle. So we have to learn in this new day and age what is our own place of acceptance. Not what society tells us it is, but what we believe it truly to be. How do we invite our friends that are different than we are to a dance if you don't allow them to bring their music? How do you bring them to Thanksgiving table if you don't allow them to bring their favorite foods? So that we can be exposed and grow and mature in our own emotional intelligence and lift and raise the consciousness of the world. And I feel like we do that by having new experiences, things that maybe you've never, ever been a part of before. When my daughter was in Saudi Arabia, she lived in a commune, and a commune there was more for the expats because they're used to freely walking around as most women do in the Western world. But in Saudi Arabia, many of you know that women cover themselves pretty fully. But Western women aren't necessarily used to that. And as a teacher, she wanted to respect their ways and also understand the truth of who these women were, not what the Western world said they were. So I would challenge our mindsets that even today what we hear is going on in Gaza. The atrocities on both sides. Somewhere, God is. somewhere, what we cannot see for ourselves today, there is a bigger plan at work. This might be a larger teaching for all of us about what real peace is. It may be challenging all the beliefs that we have and that we expose to other people because it's what we've learned, and maybe it is something so incredibly simple that we are just now opening our eyes to it and holding that highest good for every single person involved, because it's not just the people in the Holy Land. It's families and generations outside of that, on all sides. So how do we expose ourselves to something that we've never experienced before if we stay in our own little communities and we don't venture out? When we've heard things like, well, there's nothing you can do about it. Growing up, we may have felt we had no power, no voice, no control over events, no authority, no dominion. But I will challenge today that we do. That each and every one of us has access to divine mind. And even though we don't understand always what's going on in the physicality of the manifested world, in the divine mind, every single one of us is part of that unity, part of that union. And it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter where you've come from, doesn't matter how you express your religious beliefs, your spiritual beliefs. That means everyone, even the ones we're having a hard time with, come from the same divine creator. How do we get back to us holding that sacred container, even for things we don't understand? So in our prayer chaplain training, what was coming through really evident yesterday is the only person we can change is us. The only person we can change is us. So if we hold those highest thoughts, if we keep surging wondrous beauty and love and light and empathy and compassion, we are going to attract that into our world. It reminded me back in about 16 years old. How many people took driver's ed? Anybody out here? So mine was Mr. Tall's school, and he was about 4'11". And he gets me in that car, and he puts a little glass of water on the dashboard. He said, "You spill the water, I'll fail you." So I get in that car, of course, I'm scared to death, and he says, "Look straight ahead." And I'm like, "Well, you got to check everything else out." He goes, "The car will go in the direction in which you are looking." Think about your life. Think about your life. If you are looking in that direction, your life is going to go in that direction. If you're back here checking out the rear view mirror and you stay back there, you're going to stay stuck. All those old patterns that told you things that you're not sure you resonate with anymore, you're going to stay there because you're checking out the back window. So what do we want to do? And we don't want to go so far forward that we become anxious. So we want to look at where we want to steer our lives. What do we want to create in our lives? And if it's not necessarily a physical form, how would you be with every single day I wake up in joy? Every single day I radiate love. Because the only one who can do that is you. And when you do that, you're going to attract more people in. Now, we know things happen in life. We know there's things that appear before us because they just have to offer us another opportunity for stretching and growing. And it's how we approach that matters the most. You can disagree, you can have different ideas, but how you share those with each other is what our entire 7 weeks has been about. So for the Fillmores, their noble cause was to bring us another way to look at the story of the Christ child. So that we were in that garden and everything was complicated and we had to go out and search things for our own, feeling a disconnect with the God of our understanding. And the entire Bible tries to get us back in the garden. Because it's up to us. And if it just boils down to something so simple as what Pam shared with us, that word would be love. Kim did faith. Those are both good. Good stuff. You got to have faith about the love. You might have to love your faith. I don't know. That's up to you. But that love, if you could just take the word God and put love in there instead, how rich would that be for so many of us? Speaking of love, it's just so interesting. My computer actually physically broke this past week, so I had to do a lot of old-time study. That means, guess what? We're bringing out the Bible. Get ready. If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions and I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. This is the one y'all know. You ready? Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. God never ends. There's no separation ever from us and the very source of our life. That place where love resides, that we can shift in an instant an old pattern, an old thought, something that no longer serves us, and we've just been illuminated as we've walked the path a little further, been exposed a little longer to something that no longer makes sense, until we reevaluate and say, yes, I'm here for you, and you, and you, and you. No separation. Love endures all things. Even Einstein, who hid his letters for decades, figured it out. That at the end, love is all that matters. So take that forward when we're looking at our noble cause. Maybe you call it your life's purpose, your life's design. But what is it in you, lovingly, with joy, with radiance, that you came here to share? Because that is your truth, and it's perfect. Amen.